Okay, I've been printing like a madman. Got this one going right now, which is looking pretty good from everything that I can see in there. Haven't had any overly ridiculous failures. Sometimes here lately, especially with these bases, I'll get all the supports will print, but then the base won't print. It'll get stuck to the FEP in the bottom of the vat. But this is looking pretty good. So that's been going. This still has another hour and 25 minutes to like a 6-hour print. And somebody's trying to say hello. It's not lunchtime. You gotta wait. But I finished up one print this morning, which was this big guy here. Got him all put together. He's not connected to the base yet because I'm gonna paint it first because there's a lot of detail underneath his legs that I want to be able to get to as I'm painting. You gonna sit right there? Thank you. But he looks pretty cool. I love this massive guy. And of course the base has a bunch of wicked looking little details on it, a bunch of little skulls all over the place, which looks really cool. That'll paint up really neatly. Really neatly? Is that a word? Anyway, but this is gonna end up looking really cool, I think. Let me see if I can get him back on there. But that's basically how he's gonna end up looking. So I am also trying, on top of everything else, trying to finish up some older models that I haven't worked on in a while. This is one of them, a Sabre tank from Star Wars Legions. I've got all the little parts for this sitting over there, plus the hatch that goes over here. I still have to paint the trooper in there, and then I'm gonna still do all the detail with the different colors. I'm probably gonna go with a dark red with some yellow highlights, which is supposed to be what it eventually looks like, something like that. So that's gonna be difficult because I've never done hard lines like that, so I'm gonna have to tape it all up and all that stuff, which is gonna be a little bit difficult, considering, you know, I've got a bunch of different size tapes that I can use, which I've never used any of that. I just got it and then never used it. But I've also got these couple of prints. I still have the base and the rest of that guy to finish printing. They'll probably be going fairly, actually I think the base and the rest of that is what I've got going right now. I did finish painting some other stuff and put some gloss on it, so those look pretty cool. I'm trying to figure out where to put stuff, but then this is the other group of things that I have. Let me get some light here. I actually worked on that one some, which I'm really happy. I wasn't happy with the way this top part came out, so I ended up stopping. I'm gonna end up going red here instead of this. I overdid some of that bone looking color. I didn't like how it turned out, so I want more red on there. But I've got a bunch of the claws all done up. I've got his belly all done up. So I've actually got a lot of work there done. But then this is the bigger aspect of what I've been working on. Got all of these guys painted and primed. Well, not painted, but primed. So this has been a lot of stuff going on here. A lot of these little models, bases, and all this other little stuff. I got a cup holder that I printed, which I really like. I'm gonna end up using this as a water. I'm not gonna actually use this to drink because the handle here is barely on. there's not much holding that. So anything with any heft that would possibly, like a can or something, a full can of soda or something in there, I would worry about this handle breaking off, because it really doesn't go that far into the receptacle area there, where this part receives into this part. But anyway, it turned out pretty cool. Like I said, all I intend to use this for is to hold water for when I'm painting. I've got right now I've got a little coffee cup there with water in it that I use, but I've got this fake Yeti can. Excuse me, I got something in my back of my throat that fits in there perfectly, which I'll be able to put water in that and then use that for my paint water. But I've got these little guys over here. I accidentally printed that one twice, but I don't have the bases for that one printed yet. And then this one here is actually a 32 millimeter that I have the 75 millimeter. All of these are 75 millimeter. Everything here is 75 millimeter. And this is the only one that I've printed at 32. Just for the simple fact that my intent, because I'll be printing the 75 millimeter here in the next few days, or starting it, because it's going to be a several day print. I think there's 7 STL files on my thumb drive right now. Each one 6 hours, so that's roughly 30 hours. He's leaking. That's not good. He's not leaking though. That's not good. But as you can see, I've been plugging away. Primed everything in black first, and then came back with a gray over the top, which makes it easier to paint over gray. Than black's very hard for me to paint on, because I'm not that good at painting. So, but a lot of these are sorry about my cat. He's being a turd. But a lot of these are really cool models. Really neat to print. Obviously, everything that I print, like I said a second ago, I do in 75 millimeter. Just for the simple fact that I find it easier to paint. And you can see there where there's a lot of black on there still. But I even got those little ones, little tanks. Print. Ooh, I almost broke that off. There's a machine gun right there. But that's what I've been working on. So slowly doing stuff. Isn't that right, Boo? Yeah, I'm talking to you. You've been talking this whole time. You're on camera. Go ahead. That's it? Nothing else? Here's your time to shine. Well, I'm not putting you on camera ever again. Anyway, so quick update. What's going on? Haven't done much lately of anything other than printing and priming. Like I said, these couple of guys here, this is the latest thing that I've painted. Turned out okay. And this one I did strictly all of my speed paints. So this red is just one color. The yellow one there is one color. The black here is one color. On this flame I've got yellow, orange, and red. And then on the base I've got black and a brown. And I wanted to see how I could do this, if I could do what it would look like using as the lowest amount of colors that I could use, I think is what I'm looking for. Which that red really turned out really well, I think. There's a lot of dark colors. It's not really showing that well in this video, but all along that neck, that red showed, it just gets into those seams and really darkens up really well, which I kind of like. For the simple fact that speed paints make a trash painter acceptable. Not good or great or anything like that, but mediocre, I guess. I like them. So anyway, all right, this is something I forgot to talk about last time, especially in my last video, because I was talking about drain holes and letting pieces sit and drain for several days. It's not actually what I do. And this one kind of shows a little bit of that. Obviously it's draining, but let's see if I can get in real close here. The two drain holes in this particular model, you can kind of see I have filled them, and then I use my UV light to harden that resin. Now, unfortunately on this one, I didn't get the hole completely closed up. I have not done it on this one yet. I got his feet. Though there's a drain hole there on that foot, and there's another one there on that foot. Now, I've already filled those and then run a UV light over them. That's why the foot over on this side, over here, looks so glossy, because that's the excess resin that has hardened. If you notice, like all through here, this looks kind of dull, and then it gets a little glassy around here because that was the excess resin that I ran the light on. Now this little guy, I got to try to wipe off this excess with one hand while I'm holding the camera or my phone. And hopefully I can get this cleaned up a little bit. And then run the light over it again. And that's how I actually do this. The problem with, I have memory issues, so a lot of times I can't remember certain things I'm talking about, or my work processes. And when I made that video, I hadn't printed anything in quite a while, so I forgot that this is actually how I deal with drain holes. And I got this off of a video of people who are much better at all of this than I am. But usually just by doing this little bit right here, that'll completely seal that hole and harden whatever excess resin, which it's easy to see it. Everything on, if you notice, like when this light is on here, these areas that are really glowing, the back of the knee, the ankle, the bottom of the foot, around this foot on the left, that's wet resin. And it's easy to really see where it's at. And you can see it all over this. I use this little drop rag here for wiping up. You can see all the resin everywhere, all over this thing. It's kind of interesting how resin shines so brightly in UV light. But that should, the impressive thing is, as soon as you start putting that UV light on there, it's still got a little bit of, like this part here, I can feel that this is completely cured resin. Excuse me, I just burped. But down here at the bottom where this was wet, it feels, the feeling of it is completely just, it's kind of tacky. You can totally feel it. It's weird. But generally what I end up doing is I've got a little glass bottle of resin. This is usually what I use to fill holes. And then I've got this one. I've got another one somewhere around here. I probably put it away. don't see it. There it is. Nope, that's not it. Here it is. So this one here is what I use to fill the drain holes, which, like this one here, I'll show you real quick how I do this. With one hand, there we go. Hopefully I don't spill anything. But I just dip this in here. And then before the bubble pops, and just let it sit there for a minute. Now what's really strange is that bubble, the second the UV light gets on it, the bubble pops. This right here is why I have resin all over this, because I do this. Usually I do this with 2 hands, so I don't have to set it down. But you can see right there's a bunch of resin. And that's also why I have a drop cloth on my table here, so I don't get resin all over everything. And I'm not going to do all 4 of these holes. I'm just doing this one. I will eventually do all 4, but not on this video. And normally, yeah, see, that's already cured up. So that's fine. I'll be able to sand that little, there's a little nub over on this side. I'll sand that down. But as far as everything else, that's completely cured right now. Now, generally speaking, whenever I do a model and I put the parts together like this guy here, you can see a seam across his waist right here. There's a seam here at the elbow joint on each side, and then there's one underneath his neck, which you can clearly see that one as well, all the way around his head. I'll have to fill that one with some epoxy putty. And that's usually what I do on big seams. Like this guy here, I filled in all of the seams on this one. Didn't do a very good job of it, but I don't know. The epoxy, I think, as it dries, it shrinks maybe. Some of it fills in really nicely. Like all through this upper section, there's a big gap there, but all the way down through the rest of that, there's a little bit towards like this section here, but you really can't see it up through the top of that. I got it really, really in there. This one here had seams all the way around this. There's 3 parts here. There's more than that, but right through the base piece right there, you can see where that seam runs, and it's 2 halves for this entire piece. So this is a half, this is a half, then there's this eyelid, which is another part, and then this eyeball, which I was trying to get the eyeball to be loose. I did not glue it in place or anything like that, but once I glued all the rest of this, I guess the excess glue squeezed out on the inside and glued it in place, because it doesn't move. I can get it to shift a little bit. It just moved a little bit right there. You can see there. Yeah, it still moves a little bit. It's very difficult to move, but I can still articulate the eyeball. That was the goal, was to be able to articulate the eyeball a little bit. But the main point I'm trying to make right now is that the seams on this filled in extremely well. Can't even see them, because all the way around this is the top seam along here, and then it runs all the way around the bottom side of this, all through the mouth, which you can see on the roof of the mouth. There's part of that seam. And in the tongue, you can see a little bit. But once I paint this, it should hide some of that fairly well. But this is how the base usually ends up looking, all filled in. I didn't sand that one down. This one was leaking as well. I've already hit it with the light and sanded it some. But you can see I usually close up everything on these as best as possible so they don't sit and do that. But anyway, just a quick secondary update. Thanks. See ya.